Right now on Hoosier News Source, what happens when the coronavirus affects countries where some IU students are studying abroad?
And some IU students are experiencing strangers breaking into their homes.
And I have warmer temperatures, a look back at February, and the forecast for the IU men's basketball game this Saturday. Hoosier News Source starts now.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier News Source. I'm Ella Rhodes.
And I'm Lexi Vanetti. We begin our show with an update on the coronavirus, which has killed more than 3,000 people worldwide, with the vast majority in mainland China. There have been more than 88,000 global cases with infections. So what does this mean for IU students studying abroad? Our Ella Rhodes has the story.
U.S. State Health official Dr. Jeffrey Duchin announced on February 29th the first U.S. death from the coronavirus. A few weeks prior to that, on January 31st, IU suspended travel to China for faculty, staff, and students due to the spread of the disease.
Over a month ago, we started having our first meetings. Now those are daily phone call meetings, in-person meetings as well, that we're having with our public safety and institutional assurance staff and other parts of the university to make sure that we are adhering to the latest information.
It has spread throughout the world and has made its way to Italy, with a total of 1,694 cases and 34 deaths.
We have around 270 students in Italy from across all Indiana University campuses. So we're making sure that we're in touch with them, that we know who these students are.
Julie Bleichman is an IU student currently studying abroad in Milan.
IU's been really good at communicating with students. Again, they're all the way in the U.S., so they kind of left it up to our program directors here in Milan and in Italy to kind of keep us informed.
Milan and Venice are located in the two northern regions of the country, where the majority of cases are in Italy.
They cancel classes, or not cancel, we're taking them online for the week, so we can stay in our apartments. We've kind of been advised to try and stay indoors, stay out of like public areas, but we're allowed to leave the apartment.
Universities such as Syracuse, NYU, Gonzaga, and Villanova have all advised their students that are currently studying abroad in northern Italy to return home.
I think most people aren't concerned about getting the virus necessarily, especially in Milan. There's only a handful of cases, but I think the bigger fear is traveling.
Carney said to reach out to the Public Safety and Institutional Assurance Office at avppsia@iu.edu for questions.
On February 29th, IU restricted all travel to Italy. IU asks all students returning from abroad or planning to go abroad in the summer or fall semesters to fill out a survey to obtain the official number of traveling students.
Indiana's very own Pete Buttigieg has withdrawn from the 2020 presidential election. The 38-year-old former South Bend mayor officially suspended his campaign Sunday evening. Buttigieg spoke to a packed crowd of supporters back in his Indiana home, announcing the end to his 11-month presidential candidacy. The openly gay Navy Reserve veteran resigned after finishing third in overall delegates behind Senator Bernie Sanders and former Vice President Joe Biden. Mayor Pete gave his official endorsement of Biden Monday evening at a campaign rally in Dallas, Texas. Following Buttigieg's exit, the remaining candidates turned their attention to the effects of this week's Super Tuesday. March 2020 is Census Month, and a team of public relations students here at IU are working together to raise awareness about the 2020 U.S. Census. Hoosier News Source reporter Noelle Friel has more.
Each year, the Public Relations Student Society of America, or PRSSA, holds their annual Bateman Competition, a case study competition for public relations students. IU junior Abby Bainbridge is a member of this year's team. Their goal? To raise awareness about the 2020 U.S. Census.
Abby and her team have tabling events like these to raise awareness about the census and debunk some misconceptions that college students often have.
One of the major misconceptions that college students have about the U.S. Census is that their parents fill it out for them. This is not true. You get that form where you're living, and you need to fill it out where you are staying regularly on April 1st.
Only one census needs to be filled out per household, and it can be returned through the mail, over the phone, or online. All students should fill out the census, including international students and non-U.S. citizens.
Another thing that we've been trying to get out is making sure that everybody's aware that there is no citizenship question on the census. A lot of people have been worried about that, especially undocumented people.
The only students exempt from filling out the census are those currently living in dorms or campus-furnished apartments.
RPS has opted to do basically a data dump where they give relevant data without breaking any sort of federal law, but the information they are able to give, like the age and the number of people living in the dorm, they give the census that data to give them the most complete count.
So why is filling out the census so important?
Mayor Hamilton has said that for every 1 in 300 people who don't fill out the census, the city of Bloomington loses $1 million in federal funding.
The census also determines how many representatives are given to each state, where to put local businesses, and where to open new housing projects. So while college students may not live in Bloomington for long, the effects of this year's census will be long-lasting.
Like you filling out a less than 5-minute form makes the biggest impact that it can in the state and in the university and in the city.
For Hoosier News Source, I'm Noelle Friel.
The census will appear in your mailbox sometime this month and should be filled out and returned around Census Day on April 1st. For more information, you can go online and visit census.gov.
And some students living off campus are experiencing scary situations that involve their safety. Our Katrina Nickel tells you what you need to know.
Thanks, Ella and Lexi. With temperatures in Bloomington finally increasing means we'll also begin to see an increase in crimes. And one crime in particular has students of IU a little worried, especially those who live off campus. And for IU senior Mary Kate Hamilton, she knows firsthand what these crimes could look like.
My front door was unlocked and I'm sitting there minding my own business and somebody comes in. And then he kind of like stumbled and fell. And I got to look at his face and he was clearly like an older man, probably wouldn't be living in, in our townhouses. And he fell down, he got up, and he walked over to me on the couch. I'm like paralyzed with fear. And he shook me by the shoulders and he was saying something. I couldn't understand what he was saying really. He was kind of slurring his words.
So Bloomington PD reminds students to always have their doors locked and to know that crimes are likely to occur during the evening or late at night. And even more common than break-ins into homes is breaking and entering into cars. So always make sure to have those doors locked too. For Hoosier News Source, I'm Katrina Nickel.
If you experience someone breaking into your home or find yourself in any unsafe situation, dial 911.
A tech giant has made its way to Bloomington. Electric vehicle and clean energy company Tesla has placed 8 supercharging stations on the city's west side for its battery-powered vehicles. The superchargers are available 24/7 and can charge up to 150 kilowatts. The stations are located on the side of Fresh Times Market on West 3rd Street. The Tesla stations also supply Wi-Fi service for its users while they wait for their battery to charge. Bloomington installed the chargers last week and are now officially open for the public to use.
And a clean slate for a new month of March. That's the promise of the Monroe County Public Library in regards to late fees. Back in January, the Board of Library Trustees voted unanimously to allow the removal of all late fees. March 1st officially began the fee removal program. This gave over 8,000 current library patrons entirely waived outstanding fees. Library strategist Chris Jackson says the initiative wants to welcome members of the community back to their local libraries.
We're looking forward to increasing the number of users, people who are currently disenfranchised, people who are turned off by the idea of accumulating fines, and we also see a significant return of items that are long overdue.
The library plans on adding more frequent reminders about outstanding overdue rentals. Monroe County joins neighboring Owen County to implement the removal of late fees.
Straight ahead on Hoosier News Source, Mason joins us in studio to tell us if this warm weather is here to stay or if we'll have to wait a little longer.
And it's coming down to the last few games for men's and women's basketball. I'm here to give you their weekend recap. That and more coming up. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Weather reporter Mason Knotts joins us in studio, making his Hoosier News Source debut and giving us the update on this week's weather. Mason?
Thanks, Lexi. Before we get into this week's weather, let's take a look back at February's climate report. As you can see here, the temperatures for February were about 2 degrees higher than average, and the monthly precipitation, we got about 1.5 inches more than we normally would. Luckily, we won't be expecting precipitation during the IU men's basketball game this Saturday against the Wisconsin Badgers. If you are traveling to Assembly Hall, make sure you bring a light jacket for the beginning of the game, as we're expecting cool temperatures in the mid-30s. But that sunshine throughout the day is going to warm us up and get us to about mid-40s, and going to give us a good rest of the day. For the rest of the week, we're expecting temperatures to be in about the mid-50s, and it's going to be nice and sunny all week until we get to Monday, when there is another chance for precipitation in the forecast, about a 35% chance. So if you are going out for class, if for any reason, make sure you bring an umbrella, rain jacket, something to keep you dry. But for now, get out there, enjoy the rest of this week, and make sure you cheer on the Hoosiers at the big game this Saturday. Now I'll toss it over to Maxwell Glenn, who will tell us just how important that game really is for us. Max?
Thanks, Mason. That's right. This week's games will be the ultimate test for the Hoosiers at possibly getting a bid in the NCAA tournament. But before we get into their chances of surviving the month of March, let's take a look back at the exciting Big Ten Championships weekend for the men's swimming and diving teams. After the Hoosier women finished third in the Big Ten Championships, the men's team saw similar results. The fourth-ranked Hoosiers hosted the Big Ten Championships at Councilman Billingsley Aquatic Center. Michigan and IU were expected to be in the top two, but number 17 Ohio State snuck up on the Hoosiers, placing second with 1,329 points. Michigan saw a strong opening to the meet and only added to their lead throughout the week, finishing first with 1,500 points. Despite breaking 6 pool records and recording 10 NCAA A-cuts, Indiana places second with 1,321 points. Those A-cuts, though, are extremely important, as the NCAA championships are up next. On the hard court, Indiana men's basketball has 2 crucial games remaining before the Big Ten tournament. As of this taping, the Hoosiers are 10th in the Big Ten with a record of 8-10. Minnesota is the first contest. Indiana won the last meeting 68-56. The second contest, the tougher of the two, is Wisconsin. The Badgers beat the Hoosiers 84-64 in their last matchup. These games will not only determine if the Hoosiers play Wednesday or Thursday of the Big Ten tournament, they will also decide whether Indiana goes dancing. Meanwhile, the women's team is set for the Big Ten Championships at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Indiana is seeded 4th, but before their opponent is determined, a lot of basketball needs to be played. Number 12 Wisconsin and number 13 Illinois face off March 4th, and the winner of that game will play Rutgers on March 5th. Right now, it's unclear who Indiana will play, but Rutgers, ranked 5th, could be up next for Indiana. If the Hoosiers win that matchup, most likely Maryland will be up next. But for now, Hoosier fans will have to sit back, relax, and enjoy some Big Ten basketball.
Thanks, Max, and thank you for watching this week's episode of Hoosier News Source.
To learn more about this week's stories, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at IUSTV News.
I'm Ella Rhodes.
And I'm Lexi Vanetti. From Bloomington, Indiana, we'll see you next week.